Jasmine was holding a string like it was a real ring, and Matt's face went from hopeful to completely stunned in a matter of seconds. You could almost see the gears turning in his head, trying to process how this even made sense. She's still married to Gino, she has a child with him, and here she is, letting someone put a string on her finger. The audacity of it all hit Matt like a truck. His jaw tightened, and for a moment, you could feel the disbelief radiating from him. How do you even respond when the woman you're trying to commit to is navigating multiple layers of complicated commitments? And Matt's reaction wasn't just frustration, it was a mix of confusion and hurt. He'd put himself out there, trying to build something real, while Jasmine seemed to be skating through chaos like it was her favorite hobby. The room went quiet, almost as if everyone was holding their breath, waiting for her to explain herself. But instead, the tension thickened. Why now? Why would she even entertain this gesture at all? Was it the thrill, the drama, or some unspoken plan only she understood? Then Matt's mom enters the picture, and her reaction adds a whole new level of pressure. Tears stream down her face, and you can feel the weight of her faith pressing down on everyone in the room. She's not just upset about the proposal, she's terrified of the moral implications, worrying about the spiritual consequences for her son and the people he loves. She sees this situation spiraling out of control, and it shakes her to the core. The intensity in her eyes, the trembling voice, the heartbreak, this is the moment where morality and emotion collide in the most explosive way. But what happens next makes everyone stop and stare. At the center of all this chaos is the triangle nobody can stop talking about: Jasmine, Matt, and Gino. Jasmine, unpredictable and seemingly addicted to drama, moves like she's dancing through a storm, never fully anchored to anyone. Matt, desperate for clarity, control, and a genuine connection, is left trying to make sense of actions that defy logic and expectation. And then there's Gino, simmering in the background, still bitter, still processing betrayal, and quietly plotting his own path forward. Every glance, every word, every silence carries weight because the history between these three is anything but simple. The room feels heavy with tension, but there's also this strange energy, like everyone knows something explosive is about to happen. Gino's presence is almost palpable even if he isn't physically in the room, and Matt can't help but feel the pressure of the past, the mistakes, and the unresolved issues creeping in. Jasmine seems calm, almost too calm, letting the storm swirl around her while the people around her are losing their footing. The sheer unpredictability of what she'll do next makes it impossible to look away. Every second feels like it's building towards something, but you can't tell if it's going to be heartbreak, confrontation, or a completely unexpected twist. The emotional stakes are off the charts, and the scene sets the tone for everything that follows. Every choice here matters, and you get the sense that no one will come out of this unscathed. Jasmine moves through life like chaos is her personal playground, and in this episode, it's impossible not to notice. She flirts with commitment but only on her own terms, balancing loyalties that don't seem to fit together. On one hand, there's Gino, the man she's still married to, who she clearly shares a complicated history with. On the other, there's Matt, who wants everything to be clear, linear, and moral. And somewhere in between, she's chasing the thrill of doing what feels alive, impulsively, without fully thinking about the consequences. Every smile, every pause, every vague response seems calculated to keep the tension high, and it works. Matt is left standing in the middle of this storm, trying to enforce a sense of order that no one else seems willing to respect. He's frustrated, undervalued, and exhausted from doing the emotional heavy lifting. While he wants to move forward in a way that makes sense, Jasmine keeps presenting curveballs. She tests boundaries, manipulates timing, and flirts with possibilities that should be off limits. And you can see it in his eyes. He wants love, connection, and honesty, but the game she's playing feels endless and impossible to navigate. And then there's the parental pressure, which adds another layer of tension. Matt's mom is deeply religious, and her anxiety about the spiritual consequences of her son's choices is palpable. She sees the situation as morally dangerous, fearing for not only Matt's soul but also for the people connected to him. Every hesitation, every uncertain response from Jasmine sends a ripple through her, amplifying guilt, judgment, and emotional strain. Her presence doesn't just add tension, it multiplies it, making every interaction feel heavier. But just when you think Matt might find a moment of calm, Jasmine drops another shock. Maybe it's a throwaway comment about her comfort level with the chaos. Maybe it's a sly reminder of the connections she still maintains with Gino. Either way, it's enough to pull the rug out from under any sense of stability Matt might have been holding onto. And you can feel the pressure building, like everyone in the room is holding their breath, waiting for the next twist. People often repeat patterns they think they can control, and Jasmine is no exception. The thrill of chaos, the habit of skipping steps, the pull toward drama, these are all familiar territories for her. They offer adrenaline, a sense of control over uncertainty, and a way to feel alive when peace seems boring or impossible. But while it might feel freeing, it comes at a cost. Matt is caught in the fallout of choices she makes without fully considering their impact, and he is left questioning if love can survive when trust is constantly tested. And just when you think the worst is over, the past comes crashing back. Every unresolved issue, every old resentment from Gino, every moral expectation from Matt's mom, all of it converges in these moments. Matt wrestles with desire, guilt, and morality, trying to hold everything together while the people around him move like they're in a different world. The emotional stakes are unbearable because every decision, every glance, every hesitation could tip the balance into heartbreak. In the middle of all this, the tension between thrill and consequence is impossible to ignore. Jasmine keeps flirting with the edges of what's acceptable, and Matt struggles to assert what he needs without pushing her away. The conflict is raw, the frustration is real, and the chaos doesn't just surround them, it feels like it's inside them too. And through it all, the audience can't help but lean in, waiting to see which choice will finally break the fragile balance. Every interaction now carries a dual weight. What is said and what is left unsaid. And in that silence, you can sense the impending storm. The stage is set for more shocks, more emotional reversals, and more testing of boundaries that should never have been crossed in the first place. Gino's world, after Jasmine, looks a lot different than it did before, and you can see it in every choice he makes. Frozen dinners have become a staple, not because he wants convenience, but because he hasn't found a reason to care about cooking for himself anymore. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, it's all the same. You'd think someone in his position would try to reclaim control through self-care, better health, or fitness, but instead, he seems to be putting life on pause. He talks about waiting until the next relationship to start eating better, as if someone else's presence will magically fix habits he hasn't addressed on his own. And while his meals might be sad, his emotional appetite is ravenous. He's bitter and it's obvious. Every decision, every thought seems tinged with resentment toward Jasmine. He's not just angry about her choices. He's angry at the loss of time, the betrayal, and the sense that he's been manipulated. Yet he masks this pain as strategy. Investments, legal maneuvering, and delaying the divorce all feel like calculated moves. He claims he's protecting his money, but it's hard not to see it as a way to hold on to her, even indirectly. The control he clings to is less about justice and more about keeping the past close enough to manage on his terms. But just when the tension feels unbearable, there's humor peeking through the cracks. Gino walks into a suit shop to get measured, talking through his story like it's casual background noise. The consultant listens, nods, and Gino, feeling playful, busts out an MC Hammer impression. The absurdity of it makes you laugh, even while the context is heartbreaking. Then there's the fashion consultation itself, pants needing adjustments, shirts getting fitted. It's mundane, yet it's his first attempt at reclaiming confidence and control over something small, something purely for him. There's a strange juxtaposition between the silliness of the moment and the weight of his emotions, and it makes him oddly relatable. And yet, the bitterness never fully disappears. He brings up Jasmine, the betrayal, and the investments again, framing them as logic, but you can see the emotional undercurrent. Holding on to revenge prolongs suffering more than it punishes anyone else. Trauma drives decisions, and in Gino's case, it's fueling actions that keep him stuck in the past. Every day he delays the divorce, every step he takes to maintain financial leverage, is a reminder that letting go isn't just about legality, it's about facing pain he hasn't fully processed. But the plot thickens. Jasmine has to renew her green card, and the complications are unavoidable. Gino's bitterness doesn't exist in a vacuum, it has real-world implications. The legal battle might hit harder than anyone expects. He can plan, strategize, and hold onto control, but official systems don't bend to personal vendettas. The tension is palpable because every document, every interview, every decision is another thread pulling at the unresolved story between them. And while he wrestles with the heavy stuff, the audience sees moments of human vulnerability. He talks about love, disappointment, and the desire for a second chance, even while bitterness clouds it. You notice the conflict between wanting to move on and holding on to the past, between building a new life and nursing old wounds. That struggle is real, raw, and messy. It's what makes his story compelling beyond the drama. He's navigating heartbreak in a way most of us can recognize, even if his methods are extreme. Even with humor, MC Hammer moves, and tailored suits, the underlying tension remains. Gino's life is a mix of strategic planning, emotional grappling, and glimpses of absurdity. Every choice he makes reflects unresolved feelings, delayed grief, and the complicated mechanics of revenge. The audience can't help but watch, wondering if he'll ever let go, if his next move will heal him or dig the hole deeper, and how Jasmine's next steps will push the storm into overdrive. The moment Jasmine reveals she had her baby, the room goes silent. Everyone expected drama, but nothing could prepare them for the emotional weight of that announcement. Gino's reaction is a mix of disbelief, hurt, and a subtle bitterness that's almost palpable. He jokes to mask the pain, but it's obvious he's processing the reality that the child isn't his. Matt, on the other hand, has to recalibrate. He wants to support Jasmine, but there's an invisible line between empathy and complicity, and he's forced to navigate it while managing his own confusion and frustration. The fallout doesn't stop at emotions. Co-parenting with Gino is now a reality, and it's messy. There's tension, mistrust, and a complicated mix of legal obligations and emotional baggage. Every interaction becomes a negotiation, and the slightest misstep could ignite a new argument. Fans on social media are weighing in relentlessly, taking sides, analyzing every glance, every comment, every post. Some sympathize with Matt, others defend Jasmine's right to live her life, and a growing number are pointing out Gino's refusal to let go. The online chatter amplifies the stakes, turning private pain into public spectacle, and it's impossible not to feel the pressure on everyone involved. And the questions start piling up. Would you forgive this if you were Matt? Could Gino truly move on while holding on to this grudge? Fans debate endlessly, and it's easy to see why. Every reaction is layered with moral, emotional, and relational complexity. The triangle is more than just a love story, it's a study in human behavior, testing the limits of forgiveness, loyalty, and self-interest. Every choice Jasmine makes ripples outward, affecting multiple people and forcing them all to confront uncomfortable truths about desire, trust, and consequence. Social commentary keeps the tension alive. There's a recurring pattern of repeating past mistakes, skipping essential steps in relationships, and chasing chaos for a sense of excitement. It's clear that both Jasmine and Matt are navigating emotional traps, and fans are watching closely to see who will succumb and who will break free. Meanwhile, Gino's decisions, often framed as revenge, complicate the situation further. Holding on to anger prolongs suffering, but it also fuels fan obsession. People are drawn to the conflict, analyzing motives, weighing morality, and projecting themselves into the drama. Witty observations punctuate the tension. Gino's bitter humor about missed opportunities, Matt's awkward attempts to maintain composure, and Jasmine's almost casual defiance create moments that are both relatable and shocking. The dynamic is raw, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. Every statement, every glance, every decision carries meaning. The audience is not just watching a story unfold, they are emotionally invested, waiting for the next bomb to drop. And just when you think one conflict is solved, the next bomb drops. Jasmine's upcoming interactions with Matt's family promise to escalate tensions even further. Religious dynamics, moral expectations, and familial judgment are all about to collide with her already complicated behavior. The anticipation is almost unbearable because the potential for emotional fireworks is so high. Matt's mom, still reeling from earlier events, will confront Jasmine in ways that test patience, tolerance, and composure. Every moment now is a setup for what comes next. Social media reactions, legal complications, emotional fallout, and interpersonal tension all feed into a cycle that seems impossible to break. Fans are left asking themselves what they would do, how they would react, and whether anyone involved can actually find peace. The narrative continues to spiral, with stakes climbing higher, and every new scene feels like it could shatter the fragile balance that has barely survived so far. The drama is relentless, the emotions raw, and the audience knows this is far from overwatching this tangled triangle. It's impossible to ignore the patterns each person keeps falling into. Jasmine seems addicted to the rush of chaos, making impulsive decisions that pull everyone around her off balance. She flirts with commitment, yet she pushes boundaries, seeking the thrill of tension more than the stability of love. Matt reacts with morality, trying to impose order and fairness, yet his desire for connection leaves him exposed to repeated frustration. Gino, meanwhile, seeks control, masking pain with strategy, legal maneuvering, and financial leverage. Each of them is acting from a place of unresolved emotion, repeating habits that haven't served them well but feel familiar. The way these behaviors collide is fascinating. Jasmine's thrill-seeking keeps Matt on edge, forcing him to wrestle with guilt, desire, and the boundaries of loyalty. Gino's calculated control prolongs the conflict, keeping the past alive and complicating every decision. And the cycle continues because none of them have fully processed their feelings or acknowledged the patterns driving their actions. It's a perfect storm of emotional triggers, where one misstep, one poorly timed reaction, can escalate tensions to new heights. There's a lesson in watching these dynamics play out. Self-care is not optional, it's essential. Gino's neglect of basic habits like nutrition and personal well-being shows how bitterness and resentment can slowly chip away at someone's life. Matt's struggle highlights how moral clarity alone isn't enough to navigate complex human relationships. Emotional awareness and patience are just as critical. And Jasmine demonstrates that unchecked impulses may feel exciting in the moment, but they create consequences that ripple outward. Recognizing one's own patterns, allowing space to process emotions, and setting intentional boundaries are practical ways to break cycles that otherwise repeat endlessly. And yet, the suspense is palpable. Every choice, every glance, every hesitant word carries the weight of unresolved conflicts. None of these characters have fully untangled themselves from the past, and the stakes are high. Will Matt maintain his moral ground without burning out? Can Gino let go of control without losing his sense of self? Will Jasmine ever find fulfillment without creating new chaos? The answers are uncertain, and that uncertainty keeps the tension alive, drawing viewers deeper into the story. And this is only the beginning. What they do next could change everything. Every unresolved grievance, every impulsive decision, every attempt at control is a thread waiting to snap. Watching them navigate these dynamics is more than entertainment. It's a study in human behavior, emotional complexity, and the way unresolved trauma can shape decisions. The story is far from over, and the emotional stakes are climbing higher with every passing moment. Fans are left on edge, invested in who will break, who will bend, and who might finally find a path toward peace or further chaos. The fallout from Jasmine, Matt, and Gino's tangled drama leaves heartbreak, frustration, and betrayal hanging in the air. Each choice, each reaction, has amplified tension, and none of the emotional threads are resolved. Legal battles loom, family judgment intensifies, and the delicate balance between love, morality, and revenge is on the edge of collapse. As we wait for the next move, questions pile up. Who will finally break? Can forgiveness ever enter this triangle? And how far will old grudges stretch before snapping? Next time, one decision will shake everything we thought we knew, and nothing will be the same.